Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's William Bellamy. I'm back. We're going to talk about the lockdowns and the effects they're having on the economy and just mental health and stuff like that tonight. But first, if you like what I had to say, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you dislike what I had to say, go ahead and tell me in the comments what you dislike about it. Feel free to leave your comment and we'll have a civil debate about it. Now, with that being said, I'd like to say the channel's starting to go great. We hit 1,000 subscribers today, and we got almost 70,000 hour or 70,000 views. It's growing faster than I thought it would, but help me continue to grow. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you dislike, well, share it with your friends too, and you can all make comments about what you disagree with. The COVID lockdowns, they're starting again. And here's the funny part about the whole lockdown thing. The country of Sweden didn't do any major lockdowns, and they are also seeing a second wave. So between mask and lockdowns, we're getting a second wave. They didn't lock down, they're getting a second wave. So if the lockdowns didn't work the first time, why would they work the second time? And oh, by the way, you have mayors and governors and congresswomen that are just doing whatever they want to, regardless of what they're telling their people to do. Because if you're in leadership, which a governor or a mayor would be a leader, you lead by example, which means you should be enforcing the most austere measures on yourself, not your constituents. But what this also does is they sign these major lockdowns, and some of these states are going back to major lockdowns. You put sheriffs in positions where one rule in the Army that I learned early on, never give an order that you know you can't enforce. So they're putting these lockdowns in place. You have sheriffs coming forward and saying they're not going to enforce it. Because in the case of Michigan, it's already been ruled that these violate constitutional rights. And now there's a movement to impeach the governor because she, once again, has ordered a lockdown, even though it's already been ruled that the lockdown violates constitutional rights. So she's violating the civil rights of the entire state. So as far as the impeachment, go for it. I think it's a great thing. I think it's time that some of these governors are stood up to and some of these mayors are stood up to, and they're actually taking a task for what they're doing, which has already been ruled illegal and a violation of civil rights. I think putting sheriffs in these positions is horrible because sheriffs are elected positions and they have their future and they have families to feed and they have a reputation to think about. And oh, by the way, they swear an oath to the Constitution, which these lockdowns have already been ruled to violate. Now, we'll look at New York City. The state of New York and New York City, draconian lockdowns. Well, as of a couple of months ago, 30% of the small businesses in New York City will never reopen again. The lockdowns and quarantine have broken the back of those small business owners. The wealthy are fleeing New York, which means all these city taxes that they were paying aren't getting paid, which adds to the budget deficit that these small businesses would have helped cover. So who's left? Oh, we'll ask the federal government for help. But oh, by the way, we're going to defund the police, but the $1 billion we're taking from the police, less than half of that is going to go to education and mental health and to help the homeless. So the other $500 million is simply trying to balance a budget that you broke, de Blasio. So why don't you explain yourself and why don't you explain your actions? It makes no sense. There's another one that I found really strange that I saw on the news the other day. Pennsylvania is banning the sale of alcohol the night before Thanksgiving. I don't know what that has to do with COVID. I haven't heard anything about a bottle of Jameson's contributing to the spread of COVID. I may be wrong. I'm not a medical expert. But it makes no sense to do that. But that's a good segue to go to. I was trained in chemical, biological, nuclear, and radiological weapons while I was in the military. And yes, biological warfare is not the same as COVID, but you do have a base understanding for epidemiology and how these things spread. Now, with that being said, doctors and scientists have tried for how many years to figure out Ebola? And they have a lot of things figured out, but there's still some things they haven't been able to figure out. We've been dealing with COVID for less than a year, and I've yet to hear one medical expert on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News or any of these other nationally syndicated news shows go, hey, yeah, this, we really don't understand these parts of it. And that makes no sense to me. I'm okay with the doctor looking at me and saying, yeah, I got it. You have this pain or you have this headache, and no, we've done all these tests. We really can't explain where it comes from. Here's what we know it's not. And yet, in less than a year, we have experts on COVID. The scientists where COVID came from in Wuhan probably can't even look at you honestly and say, yes, I'm an expert on COVID. With that being said, let's focus on the vaccine. Let's focus on not destroying small business. Jeff Bezos doesn't care. I'm willing to bet by the end of the year, when you look at the profits for Walmart and Amazon and some of these large online retailers, their profits are going through the roof. While the immigrant that worked really hard to open a bodega and left it to their children, that's called the American dream. That's now gone. They've lost that. It'll never reopen again. They can't afford to. Or from COVID to the riots, okay, mostly peaceful protests. Well, a mostly peaceful protest doesn't break windows and set stuff on fire. Those businesses are gone. Their piece of the American dream that they worked so hard for, that is now gone. And these governors and these mayors of these major cities are letting this happen. They're destroying the American dream. They're taking people who used to be able to work for a living and build something for themselves. They're putting them in a position where they are reliant on the system to take care of them. That is not the American dream. Why are we doing this? Why are we not standing up like some of these sheriffs have and said, this is not right? Personally, Thanksgiving's coming up. Yes, I'm going to visit with family. For the most part, they and I have no comorbidity issues. None of us are over 70 years old. So chances are, even if we do get COVID, we'll quarantine, we'll do what we got to do, and we'll be fine in the end, as most people have found. Speaking of seniors and those with comorbidity, schools. Yeah, we're going to shut down the schools and do online learning. Well, as somebody who's taken quite a few online classes, in fact, I'm currently in graduate school online, I find it interesting that now suddenly they're realizing students are having a problem retaining information. Wow, could that be part of online school? And let's add another part to that. Well, that's fine. So all these school districts are going to completely online. Well, maybe it's time to start giving temporary leave of absences to janitorial staff and their food service staff. Maybe even some teachers. Oh, the teachers unions don't want to hear that. They're fine with going to online schooling, but they don't want to start losing pay. But we can start balancing some of the budgets for the income we've lost from the small businesses we've destroyed. Oh no, we have to support these powerful unions. I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I'm more on the standalone complex, which is all these things happen and these people do certain things, not in coordination, but they all do it about the same time, so it could feed at a conspiracy theory. I just think we need to be realistic. I think when you start holding these medical experts to task and holding these governors and mayors to task and asking why, give me a legitimate reason why. Tell me what you don't know. Because if you don't know and you're reacting out of fear, then you are no more an expert than the average citizen. Let's stop destroying what people have built based on fear. Smart, wear masks, social distancing. The vaccine is coming. With that, I hope everybody has a good, safe evening. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Like I said, I'll be spending it with some of my family. If you like what I have to say, like, subscribe, share, give me a comment, tell me what you think. That's the easiest way to help us grow. I mean, we're growing faster than I thought, but I enjoy it. I like seeing those numbers go up every day on my analytics. If you disagree with what I'm saying, then hit dislike and tell me what you disagree with. We'll have a civil discussion. Remember, you may change my mind. You may give me information I haven't thought about, but I can change yours too. Everybody have a good evening.